Hey everybody, welcome to Smashing Game Time. We are two brothers and a special guest going through gaming's back catalog of yesteryear. I am your host, Nick. I am joined by my brother, Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Josh, I like that black shirt. That looks very nice on you.
Well, thank you. It makes me feel very slim, even though I know I'm not.
I was wearing a black shirt earlier, and I had the exact same feeling, so I totally get it. And we are joined by a special guest today. He is one of the co-hosts of the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, I almost called it Gone Girl. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. I said, don't say Gone Girl. A Gossip Girl original run episode recap. We're joined by Leif.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Leif. Thank you for coming on. Leif is also an avid member of the Last of Us multiplayer. We're going to talk to him about his time in the community and just, get a vibe for what things are like in that community. We thought that'd be fun to do. There are all these different multiplayer games, like people hop on, they're like everyone's there for a while, and then after a while, people start to cycle out, and then that's when the community really starts to build up of the, I'd say like the staples of the community. So we thought that'd be a fun series to start up, and what better series to start it with than The Last of Us. So we're gonna near the end of the episode, talk to Leif about that. I'm excited to do that. That's gonna be fun, Leif.
Looking forward to it.
And so I've got to ask. I know I'm saving all my interview questions for the end, but I got to ask. The Last of Us and Gossip Girl, what came first?
I guess it was Gossip. Yeah, Gossip Girl actually ended the year before Last of Us came out. So, yeah, so Gossip Girl was first.
So you were watching Gossip Girl during the original on air run.
I was.
I didn't know if this was a COVID hobby that you're like, no, I'm going to do a podcast now.
I mean, I just started the podcast maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. So we're only 8 episodes. We've just released our 8th episode. And, but yeah, I watched the show and I got involved in the fandom and everything like that. So it's kind of like Succession with teenagers.
And there's a secret identity, right? Because a lot of I've seen it in the background with my wife, my now wife, watching it, and the voiceover is, we don't know who that is, right? That's like the hook of the show.
Correct. And without spoiling, it did change. They did not plan it. They decided right at the end, it's the 6th season, who it was going to be. So it was not really planned well.
There's something about those those mystery YA shows, because my wife was also very into Pretty Little Liars. And so by defunct, I was into Pretty Little Liars during college. And I just remember being like, I didn't really care about the characters, but I was very much like, oh, I need to know who A is.
The whodunit.
Oh, they uncovered who A is? Oh, there's a new A? I need to know who the new A is. There's just
the reason why,
there's an obsession.
In Gossip Girl, the reason why it wasn't really planned is because it wasn't really meant to be a mystery. It was just be like a overall voiceover, and it's a blog that reports on the goings on of what the kids are doing. It reports the gossip. It's the blog gets tips from people and posts it.
But this was before everybody. This was before everybody.
Yeah, it was. And this was actually it was books before the TV show, and so it was even a few years before 2007 the books came out. So it was very predictive of the future.
So another follow-up question. They did the reboot on Max. I want to say that was 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, and the second season, I did not really watch it. The second season just ended 2021, I think, 2022.
So you didn't get a chance to check that out and see if it stacked up to the original?
I watched a episode or two, and it was just not the same.
it just couldn't hold the flame to the original.
Well, the original, it was made by the guy who was running the show near the end. But it was not, the original was started by Josh Schwartz, who also did the OC, Chuck, and a couple other shows. And he was a much better writer. He had a great feel for music. That like he was really known for music. Like I don't know if you know much about the OC, but like he really brought the indie scene into the mainstream through the OC.
I mean, I have California running in my head now because you brought up the OC. As soon as you said it, I was like, no, Leaf, no. But now my brain, and it's the only part my brain, California. That might be the name of the episode.
Welcome to the OCB.
The OCB. Well, Leaf, again, thank you for coming on the show. We're gonna get into some Last of Us later. Before we get into what we're playing and some news, some stuff at the top of the show, we are wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube podcasts, YouTube proper, where you can see our wonderful faces. You can see Leaf's wonderful hat that I really like. Very nice hat. Hey, we used to ask for reviews and for 5-star ratings. Now we say, fuck the algorithm, tell a friend. That's right. Word of mouth is king here. We don't listen to the machines. I want to get it on a t-shirt. I want to get like a photo. I just want to stamp it on something and be like, yeah, that was us. That'll be cool. That'll be a cool t-shirt. Way for us to capitalize.
Pending, of course,
on that line. Oh yeah, Josh was like, "Oh, I put a thing in so we can try to no, I don't want to. I don't want to own the words.
It's too late, Nick. It's pending right now.
I don't want to write. I don't want the right to the words. I want everyone to be able to use those words whenever.
No, they can. They just have to pay us.
Yeah. No. True. Very true. Hey, Josh.
Yes.
What video? Oh, yeah. No, I did everything. Yeah, Josh. What games are you playing?
Well, it's been a short week since we last recorded, Nick. Not much has changed. Helldivers 2, still spreading the democracy. The new new update as of today's recording came out.
We played, we're recording on Wednesday. We played Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. It was the first time I ran in, what are the big guys called? The Titans?
Bio Titans.
First time running into a Bio Titan, and I about shit my britches. Like that thing.
Oh, and Nick didn't just run into one. Nick ran into several.
No, and I don't hate them. I still hate the Charger more. I think the Charger's a bigger pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, the Charger's more of a pain in the ass.
Because I feel like when there's a Charger, like one person might be like, "Hey, Charger," and then everyone else is still fighting whatever. But when there's a Titan, everyone's like, "Okay, we got to focus down this guy. We got to focus him down."
Well, that's just because Chargers there's a ton more that come at us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bio Titans we had like a 2 at max at a time.
Well, and I finally started unlocking stratagems because I didn't realize, I thought they were all tied to the same battle pass type thing that all the other stuff is. So I was sitting there waiting patiently. I was like, I'm going to unlock all these stratagems. I just know it eventually.
How much money did you have saved up at that point? Because you were level 9 when you bought your first one.
I think I had like 16,000.
You had to have way more than that.
Maybe 70.
That sounds realistic.
Yeah, because I unlocked like 4 or 5 and I still had a good chunk of change.
Yeah. I say I have like a good chunk of change for being level 11, and I'm like still like I have like 15,000 I haven't spent.
Leif, have you had any time Helldiving?
I played the first game a little bit. I've not played Helldivers 2 at all.
So the first game was a top-down kind of like a what was that old vampire game we played on GameCube, Josh? Was that Hunter? Like Hunter the Reckoning?
Yeah, it's a top-down shooter with
twin stick.
Twin stick, yeah. Mm.
And I mean it apparently did well enough that we're sitting here talking about a third-person shooter all these years later.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still people trying to spread the democracy there.
Yeah.
It's 100 years.
It got fairly popular because it was free on PS Plus.
Okay, it was one of those. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What year was that? Was that like a 2015 release?
I think it was 2016.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Man, you guys with PlayStations back then were really scoring on PS Plus, because what I think around that time was also Rocket League.
Yeah.
Like you guys were eating back then.
March 3rd, 2015, and it was also on the PS3.
Wow, yes. So I have had PS Plus ever since PS3. So,
jeez,
I have a huge digital collection at this point.
Same. Way too many. Like I sold my Xbox One back in 2016, 2017, just because I wasn't playing it, and I was like, this thing's got to go. We got to get this out of here. And I look back and like I jumped on Game Pass on the PC, and it'll pull up your entire library if you log in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking through all those games. I was like, oh my God, how did I have all this money in my 20s? Where did all these games come from? The only thing about Helldivers 2 right now, Josh, is that I want to fight more automatons.
Well, I already convinced Matt after we're done tonight to play. So,
okay, I might hold off on editing the episode if that's the case, and come spread some democracy.
Matt said he'll spread the box with us tonight, and we got Jake, so that's 4 right there.
All right. Well, besides spreading democracy, it looks like you're still rebirthing over there.
Yes, I just got to Costa del Sol.
Oh, nice.
I'm in the middle of getting my waifus their bikinis as we speak.
Oh no.
Okay. Make sure you match with Cloud's outfit.
I didn't realize you can get 2 outfits. So with Cloud, I went and got both outfits no matter what. But with Cloud, he's just got swimming trunks right now, so I didn't get the chocobo top.
That's fine. They each have 2 outfits to
I can't wait to dress.
I literally just completed that section this morning, so we're right.
I just got onto it last night before we started playing, so I was in the middle of knocking out all of the Tifa and Aerith's tasks, and I'm trying to do the cactus minigame where you have to take the pictures of the cactus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling hard because I found one. I'm trying to take a picture, and it keeps telling me every time that, oh, there's, you're not getting the right picture. You get this much percentage on it. And I'm like, what the heck am I doing wrong? I'm so confused.
It's the zoom percentage.
I've zoomed in and out. I've done everything I can. It won't change. Like the highest I've gotten is like 11%. And I'm like, I don't understand what is going on.
The thing will turn green when you get to the right spot.
Maybe that's
the HUD.
Maybe that's why I'm messing, because I'm getting the icon where it's like, oh, you can take a picture here. So I know I'm in the right spot, but I'm like, it's just not giving me the like, hey, you got this one. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, when you line it up right, the thing will turn green. It'll turn from blue to green.
Okay, that's probably what I'll be doing on the side, Nick, as we're just spreading democracy. I'll spread the joy.
You're fucking sick, dude. Josh is gonna get on that beach. Leif, you don't understand. Josh is never leaving that beach. This will be the last Final Fantasy VII Rebirth update we're getting, because he's just gonna save the game right before that scene, dude, and just replay it every day for the rest of his life.
Okay, so what do you think I've done already? I have a save right before I run into Yuffie while she's enjoying herself. I got right where
I don't like the way you phrase that. I don't like the way you phrase
she's
that.
She's eating ice cream. Yeah, it sounds kind of weird now that I say it out loud.
Right.
There's, I have a save right where I run into Barrett in his little sailor uniform. I'm not gonna lie, Barrett looks like a yummy marshmallow that I want to be with.
Leif is never gonna want to come back. Leif is just like, no,
that's great.
I'm not.
Hey, if they've listened to any of our recordings, they know how terrible I can be.
I was there buying the original Final Fantasy VII on release day, so this is like a dream come true for me.
I've enjoyed every moment of this. Like, I understand that there's some people who are like very hesitant, but I'm like, for what it is, this has been a fantastic remake. Was fantastic. Rebirth so far has been pretty good. I still have a lot of questions don't have answers to yet.
Oh yeah,
but that's the good part of it. That's the part I'm enjoying. There are some small things where I'm like, okay, but either way, it's not like to completely ruin the game whatsoever. It's just more of like okay, I guess I'll go play. Like now that I figured out how to play Queen's Blood, it's a little more enjoyable. But at first, I was getting very frustrated with it. But then I realized
it's so easy once you figure it out. Oh yeah. Although all you really need to do is you do the one that's like pointing forward and down in the top spot, and then up and forward in the bottom spot, so you get a 2 in the middle there, and then you're good.
Oh, at that point I just take all their spaces so they can't do anything, and then I just spam it with a bunch of 1s and 2s until I've taken over at least 2 lanes.
You are a sick fuck, sir. What's
there for?
How's the party balance? Because one thing I always hated about 7 and all those early Final Fantasies was like trying to balance out, like, okay, I can only have 3 people. I guess Cloud, Tifa, Red 12 for this section. Like,
so that's the neat thing, Nick. I have not changed my my party. I still have Red and Aerith as part of my team, or
That
as
was a
far as
pretty
like,
good.
the main group.
That was a pretty good
That's a
team if
pretty
I
good
remember
team.
correctly. Because
But
Red has a pretty powerful base attack, and Aerith is just basically your white mage, right?
right. But the nice thing about
Mhm.
this one is you don't necessarily have to have them in your party. You pick the 3 characters that you want to control as far as being able to switch between their abilities, their limits, all that. And then the rest of them are still actually in the battles with you. They just do more basic attacks in the background.
Yeah.
Are they actually attacking, or is that
Yeah,
I
no,
thought that was just
they are.
cosmetic.
No, they are actually attacking.
They are. It's not. It's not like very.
Not significant
Doing
enough
much.
to be like, oh,
Yeah.
Barrett's gonna help you kill this guy from a distance. It's just more like a, oh, if you want to be able to focus on one of the 7 enemies on the screen, Barrett and Tifa and Yuffie on the background will go ahead and distract, these 4 while you 3 focus on the other 3.
Is it the same? Does it work the same way for boss battles where like
Mm-hmm.
your main 3 are attacking and then like you've got
Yep.
backup?
Yeah, they're still there. I'm gonna put quotations up, backing you up.
Yeah.
But like
Now,
they're
of course,
still in the story.
Yeah.
In
And
each fight.
there's obviously there's sections where you get split up and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That kind of has me excited for that final boss if it does end up being the same final boss fight, like how that works. Because
Yeah.
for those who don't remember, I think everyone here remembers. You're fighting Angel Sephiroth, and I forget his proper name. He's like a god at that point. But you're fighting 2 sides of him, and
Safer.
you've got the 2 parties of 3.
Oh, you're talking about
That's
Genova.
the first one before.
I'm sorry, the
not
first
the
one.
Bizarro.
Yeah.
So I
So
want.
you got Genova, Life, then you got Bizarro Sephiroth, then Safer Sephiroth.
So I wonder how they'll work that in. I wonder if they'll actually be like everyone's just that because that would be
It'll
really
be-
fucking cool if the whole party's just actually fucking fighting him and they just.
If I had to
like,
guess,
yeah.
it's going to be each side probably has to like fight some type of spot on Bizarro would be my guess. So one team would fight this side, you'd beat it, and then you'd switch over to the other side.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like when the full party is there, because I just got Yuffie, so she just joined me. But Sid and Kate Sith, I believe, are in party members in this game in Rebirth.
I haven't. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but I think you're supposed to be able to get all of them. I just don't know if it's like a Red 13 situation from Remake where you get one of them at the end, but you don't actually get to control them. Because the video I did see to like, it was supposed to be spoiler.
They're all in the trailer.
Yeah, they're all in the trailer.
trailer.
See, we do run into them, and then that's true because we do run into Vincent at Mount Nibelheim, or in Shinra HQ or Shinra Mansion at Nibelheim. We run into Kate Sith at Golden Saucer, and we run into Sid getting the Red Bronco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, we do run into him. Technically, this is following Disc 2, so we are supposed to get them. But as far as do we actually get them, or are they going to push it back? Because I don't know about you. I don't know how far exactly you are into it, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible.
I'm at the end of the Costa del Sol, so I'm
okay. So you're not much further than me. I'm
No.
very curious about Zach still. We have not had much other than the very beginning.
I was listening to your last episode on my way home from work, and yes, I have no idea what's going on there.
Then that I'm curious because on top of that, Nick, are we throwing a spoiler on this or no?
Yeah, I figure with this being as big of a game it is, I'm going to throw a spoiler mark on there as well.
So there are moments in the game where Aerith seems to be talking to somebody. Kind of sounds like it's Zach. But every time she's what?
I thought it's Red.
So yeah, that's just it. Every time Red is in the room with her when they're talking, but every time they're talking in that different voice, it does question marks. But then when you see Red, you see Red's name come up in the subtitles. So when the other person, when you hear the other voice, it just shows question marks. But every time then it appears to be Red, then we see Red's name come up and all that, and it's his actual voice. Same thing with, or the other thing I brought up was in that last conversation at Costa del Sol between him and Aerith, is her materia being clear.
Yeah,
Nick, the same materia that she uses to summon Holy. Mm-hmm. It's not that white color now; it's clear.
Yeah, sure.
Well, okay, Nick, you remember playing the
I know what
The
you're talking about. The
Sounds
thing
like
that's in her
yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Yeah. And in the very beginning, you play as Zack, and it's supposed to be, at least, it appears to be him coming right back into town, but it also appears like it's after the end of Remake. And you see
Yeah.
the team getting lifted off into the helicopter being transported. And when he's
And
holding
but
Aerith
he's
there,
with Cloud, and
yeah,
he's
but
with
he's with
Cloud too
Cloud,
again.
and
So yeah,
he
it's all
it's very
yeah.
confusing, and you do see Aerith, and she, I say, appears to die, and drops that materia, and it does have that color in it still.
Mhm.
How? What is the fandom's take on Zack? Because I don't remember if Zack is well liked or Zack's just like there, and people are like, yeah, the Zack stuff's okay. Because I know the original game's about like identity and like kind of giving yourself up for the greater good. But I remember as a kid playing, and again I was a stupid fucking kid, and so like when
I
when the Zack
assume
reveal
Zack
happened,
is.
I remember thinking like, yeah, cool, okay.
I assume he's pretty well liked because Crisis Core is fairly popular,
Yeah,
especially
he's
since
definitely
Reunion came
liked.
out.
The Aerith Zack ship is stronger than the Cloud Aerith ship.
Well, yeah, because Tifa Cloud is the bigger ship
Yeah,
for Cloud.
Tifa Cloud gives me Ron Hermione vibes.
is that before or after Advent Children, Nick?
It's it's probably been 20-ish years since I've seen that movie, so I
I don't
don't
even
know.
know if is it that old right now?
I think came out in 2004,
I was saying
2005.
then they just had a re-release in theaters for it, which blew my
Yeah.
mind.
Oh man, that'd have to be really good. I would go see it this weekend if I wasn't going to go see Dune 2 in IMAX. So
I don't know if it's still in theaters right now. I think it was just like a one-time thing for the release of Final Fantasy Rebirth.
let me know when they put Spirits Within back in theaters.
Never.
What I need them
Never.
to do is to finish this trilogy and do the remake for Final Fantasy VIII like the people really want, like people like myself, people like David. David reached out and was like, "Yes, Final Fantasy VIII,
I mean,
finally."
I'm not against it either.
I would
'Cause
play it.
I'd play it, and honestly, I would play it more to see what they're gonna do with it. Because obviously, with 7, I'm enjoying what they're doing with this trilogy so far. Like I enjoy that. Yes, it is in essence the same game that we played back in 97, 96, whenever it was released. However, the fact that it's now twisting things on us and changing it up, I'm like, God damn
Mhm.
it, this is good. And I would love to see how they do that with Squall, because my my favorite theory of all time is he is dead after disc 1, and what you're seeing from there on is like a fever dream of him living his life the way he thinks it should have been before he died.
I think if Squaresoft, I think if Square Enix really wanted to, they could go the way of Capcom and just like, okay, we've got all these Final Fantasies, let's just remake all of them and just work down the line.
Well, they've remade the shit out of 1 and 4. I doubt they ever go back
Oh,
to those.
oh, I'm saying like do a full
Yeah.
on like 3D like Cecil. I know they kind of did like the cartoony 3D with them, but I'm saying like go all out. I want a sexy Cecil in 4K.
I want okay, Nick. You know how many Rule 34s there would be on that alone?
There's probably already so many, Josh.
No, that's fair, but do you know what would happen?
He's mentioned Rule 34, so we're moving on. Anything else about Rebirth, gentlemen?
Fantastic so far, enjoying it. We'll
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm
finish
loving it.
at
Yeah,
some point.
hopefully finish it in a couple of months.
Yeah, I'm like what? I think I'm like
I
22 hours into it right now.
Yeah, I'm at least that. I plan on platinum yet, so
Yeah, I'm doing all the side quests as we speak. There's nothing I've missed so
Mm.
far. So
yeah.
I will join you, gentlemen, when it comes to PC. It's like an 80 hour game, right? 80 to 100 hours is what I'm hearing.
I think it. Yeah, I think it's like 90 hours.
Oof. Is there going to be anything left for that third game? Like what is left? at
Oh,
that point?
Nick, there's so okay. So hold on before we
What?
go any further.
I didn't mean to
I'm
do
not
this.
sure exactly where this is gonna. Is this gonna end exactly where the second disc ends, or
So
is it gonna?
that's what I'm thinking. Is so far they've got they're doing that. They have that blueprint. So I'm thinking. So disc 2 ended with Cloud giving Sephiroth the black materia, and all of the ultimate weapons are being summoned from the planet.
No,
That?
disc two ended right. No, disc two ended like right at the end of the game, basically, where you like do the camp outside the Highwind with Tifa,
Mm.
like
Wait,
right
did it?
before you go to the North Crate. Like,
Because I thought this 3 was you have to find Cloud, you're fighting all the ultimate weapons, and then
no,
you
it's like
get the
right.
whole.
It's right after that.
Is it right
Yeah,
after
no,
that?
yeah. This
Man, it's been
3
a
is
hot minute.
only North Crater and like and optional stuff, the end game content.
Wow, you might be right then. I don't know.
So I think they might end it sooner than the end of this too.
Shit, you are right.
I
Man, it's
won't
been a hot
spoil.
minute.
I won't
It's been a hot
spoil
minute
for
since I've
you.
gotten that far.
I
I
won't
actually,
spoil for you
so I
guys because I had it
actually,
spoiled. But I know where it ends, so I don't know exactly how much is left after that. But I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not here to spoil things for guys actually playing the game.
yeah, I actually replayed the OG and remake earlier this month. So
I started
or
to
last month,
redo
rather.
it, and I only got to.
Yeah.
I just got out of Midgar.
Well, I did it with the cheats and the speed up and everything.
Oh,
So
I see. I was
it's,
doing all I was trying to get as far as I could without cheating, and I literally had gotten to the point where all my characters were only missing the items to get their final limits breaks.
there you go.
At least the ones that I had. So.
All right, Final Fantasy Hour comes to an end here. Josh,
All right.
Josh, any other games?
No, that's it. I mean, there's another one, but I can't talk about it until next week.
Is that the one? Oh, okay, yeah.
Embargo, my friend.
Embargoed out. Leif, any other games you're playing right now?
Not really. Like I said, I just marathon the OG Final Fantasy VII and remake before this. So that's all I'm really playing at the moment.
You should marathon 8 after you're done with Rebirth. Just a suggestion. Just suggesting. Just throwing that out there for you guys.
I do have the remaster in my digital collection.
You sick.
I've got the remaster and I've got the original port into Steam.
We
There you go.
we had a funny, cause we used to do like yearly recaps, and we got to a point where we were picking the top 5, and I think there was a year where Final Fantasy VIII Remastered was on there, and we thought it was Final Fantasy VII Remake, so we picked it. And we're like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, you and Jake picked it.
We're like, wait a minute, this isn't what we thought this was. The fond memories when there were 3 brothers on this show. On my side, I'm still playing Inkulinati and Kingpin. I'm finishing up those reviews. I've been super busy writing for Hard Drive this week. I had like a handful of articles approved, so just been knocking those out. Inkulinati, I think it's kind of running into the same issue I had with it during the early access review, which is once you've kind of gone through the game, the only other thing to do is like go through the game again with the additional characters you've unlocked. This is the hand drawn, like turn based, like the medieval animal drawings fighting each other. It's fun, but like once it's kind of like, okay, what else is there? There's no online multiplayer. You can play couch co-op, which on a Steam Deck, that's pretty cool. I can play my turn and then hand it over to you, and you play your turn and hand it back, and we're sharing, and it's wholesome. It's wholesome, but you can't jump on and kick your friend's ass online if they live miles and miles away. So I think that's kind of pooey. Kingpin is a remake of a 1999 shooter. You're a mobster guy who gets jumped, and you can hire other mobsters to help you fight through levels. I don't know why we need a remake of this game. It's kind of dirty. It kind of runs like crap. Runs like crap on the Steam Deck. I need to sit down and give it a little more time on the PC. You get games for review, and you get some good ones, and you get some not so good ones. And it's hard writing the ones where you're not really clicking with the game, but it's just the nature of the beast. My least favorite idiom right there.
At least you didn't have to do Skull and Bones.
This is very true.
I regret every moment of that game.
In other news, I finally bought Balatro, but I haven't played it. I was like, okay, Tuesday night, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play this. And then I ended up playing 3 hours of Fortnite with friends, and then a few hours of Helldivers with you and Jake, Josh.
And you're going to play some more.
Going to play some more tonight, but I'm going to finish up these reviews. I'm going to play some Balatro. I've got a flight coming up that I just committed to watching Dune 1 so I could get ready for Dune 2 in IMAX when I get into LA. But I'm going to play some fucking Balatro because I can't listen to a podcast without hearing about it, and I need to know. I need to know what's so good about it, because the last card game I got really into, and that was Inscription. So I need my cards. You know what? I lied. I also got into Gwent for a little bit. That was an expensive hobby, a very expensive hobby. Don't do it.
Yeah, I learned my lesson in first generation Magic the Gathering. And then when they came out with the second generation and there was a card that you literally had to rip up to play it, I was like, nah, that's it for me.
That's too much. I'm surprised card games don't do that. Kind of like how the legacy board games do, where it's like, all right, now that you're done with this, you have to destroy this, and it's gone forever. I'm really surprised that didn't become more of a thing in trading card games. I get, because you know what? Like, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Right out of high school and played the shit out of it. And, you know, people love buying their cards, but if you have a card that like gets that meta and it's like, oh, rip the fucking card. I think that would be dope. What happened to my...
Well, I guess the whole thing with the card, like you rip it and you throw it up on the board and any card it touches is destroyed. Like,
Do you rip that card
taken
up
off
too?
the board. No, I mean, it's just taken off the board.
Oh, that's a really cool card. Now, if
it was cool. It was a cool idea, but like, yeah, it's only you can only use it once, and it's done.
That's how. No, you know what they were doing there? They're like, you know what? There are going to be people that follow this rule, and 20 years from now, there's only going to be like a few copies of this card that didn't get ripped up, and we're just going to drive up the value on it. The Wizards of the Coast.
But you wouldn't be able to play at a tournament though, because they go by generation at the tournaments. So like once they come out the new set, you can't really play the old sets except for in like home games.
I mean, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh is as close to that, but once the new card, once the new meta's in, like all that old shit's gone. Like, yeah, you have your cards that are staples throughout the years. Like you have your Dark Holes, you have your Harpy's Feather Duster. But other than that, like, I don't think people play X Sabers anymore. Disaster Dragon was never a thing, but was never like a top tier thing, but I tried to make it a thing. And then they banned Future Fusion, and I'm just rambling to myself now. There are some Yu-Gi-Oh sickos listening to this, like, yeah, I fucking get that guy. But hey,
for the Magic people out there, my best card is probably Nightmare. So
I'm gonna Google that later, and I'm gonna be impressed. I know I am.
He's not gonna be. He's illiterate. He probably look at it and go, "Wait, what?"
I got into Magic for like a month after college, and then I found out how expensive it was, so I got out of Magic. Way more expensive.
I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh was but yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh still got expensive though.
It was, but the card, like, you could buy the deck I wanted was like $100. The deck our buddy Andrew played was like a $600 championship deck, something like that.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember.
I'm adjusting for inflation too.
Oh, gee.
It's expensive.
Yeah, so it was like basically very early internet when I was playing Magic. So it was back in like '96 or so when it first came out. So yeah, it was not really you couldn't really buy people's decks back then. So it was just like I was actually just buying booster packs, which is also very expensive.
Have you ever touched a Black Lotus?
No.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if like that was like a common ass card back then, and now everyone's like, no, it's $80 million. Oh man, I wouldn't even know what to do. Didn't Post Malone bought one of those? I feel like it was Post Malone or some famous rapper, or maybe I'm thinking of a different card. There was a rare card that some rapper either opened.
Charizard.
No, it was a Magic the Gathering card. Shut up, Josh. That's a Pokemon.
Sounds like something Kanye would do.
This was recent. Kanye was doing something else at this time. not anything that we're going to mention on this show. Gentlemen, thank you for sharing what you are up to. Let's get into the news, right?
Read all about it. Latest football scores. Morning paper. Morning Star. Paper, mister?
It's time for old news.
Yeah, let's do it. First thing on the docket. There is a new rumored game from Respawn that's apparently going to be set in the Titanfall universe. Um, for those who are wondering, no, it is not Titanfall 3. There was that rumor floating around. There was going to be that Apex Legends Titanfall crossover game that they were going to call Titanfall Legends. That kind of bits dust as well, though. But they are rumored right now talking about. I think it's they have like their own little small squad working on like the details. But there is a squad right now inside Respawn that is working on building us a new game. And who knows what it is, because we have Apex, which is set in the same world. You've got Titanfall. So it begs the question, is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to be, a Titanfall-esque where we can get into Titans and fight each other? And if I had to guess, because at this point, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, we've had a strategy game. Came and gone.
That was a mobile RTS that
Yep.
was actually not too bad. It was more on the MOBA side, but still it was pretty fun.
We already have our first-person shooter. We already have our massive, we're not massive, we already call it Battle Royale. I mean, at this point, what else could there be? We've had everything to this point.
I think Titanfall 3 is kind of in the same line with Half-Life 3 right now. Valve is one of those companies where if they don't have anything new, if they don't have anything that's like pushing the, like, what's the big leap from Half-Life 2 to Half-Life 3? And that's something that they just never figured out. Because the big jump from Half-Life to Half-Life 2 was the physics and the gravity gun, right? They don't have it. So I think Titanfall is kind of in the same path where, like, yeah, one was just a multiplayer game that had some really good movement, really good wall run physics and stuff like that. 2 added in a really good story that played with all these different features, had some time travel. Just a really good narrative game. And I think Respawn's like, no, like we want to keep 3 in the chamber until we have like something airtight. And honestly, I think whatever they're doing now, whatever this game is that's in the Titanfall universe, you don't have to do that. Just make it something else. Just make it Titanfall is Titanfall. Do something else. The Titanfall name doesn't mean anything to anybody who isn't a Titanfall sicko.
I feel like it's probably going to be more of a prequel. If I had to guess, like, set everything up, setting the Titanfall universe up, maybe.
Leif, have you spent any time following Titans?
I played Titanfall 2 when it was on. It was another PS Plus game. I don't remember a whole lot of details, but I enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure.
It's really surprising how like Titan quick that single player is for Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
By the way, this article is from Dane and Nerio out of Game Rant. Dane, thank you for your services. Prepare for Titanfall, sir. Josh, I don't think they need to rush. Obviously, they just had their Star Wars game canceled and pulled their first-person shooter. They're obviously working on what's their other Jedi series? They're working on the third one of that. But
well, let's not forget they also had their layoffs.
They had their layoffs, but they're still. I mean, Apex is a skeleton crew at this point, right? It's not anything like huge.
But they're still alive. The game is still very popular. Maybe not compared to like Fortnite, but it still has its fandom. I still go back and play it.
Man, has it really been 8 years since Titanfall 2? I'm closing that page because that
just close it.
That depresses me.
But yeah, I agree. They can slow down with it. I rather if they're gonna do a new Titanfall-esque game, it needs to be Titanfall 3. But rather than take their time with it, we waited this long for Half-Life 3. We can wait that long for Titanfall 3.
Our grandkids will be playing Half-Life 3 and Titanfall 3. They'll be released within a month of each other.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2.5.
No, we went back. It's Half-Life 1.5.
No, we went back.
1.9.
We went back and did Half-Life 2 episode. We're finally getting episode 3.
Okay, we're moving on. I named this one Mario's Daddy is an Asshole, but this is just in reference to Nintendo lawsuit finally shutting down the Switch emulator Yuzu and the 3DS emulator Citra.
This is from Haley. Wait, is this Paramore's Haley Williams over at GameSpot?
Well, you can click the name, Nick, and find out.
No, we're not gonna do it. We're not doing that.
I'll do it for you.
So yeah, so Yuzu, they were like, were they the? Because Kotaku, when Metroid Dread came out, did an article about like, hey, why play Metroid Dread on the Switch when it's
Yep.
so much better over here?
Yep, and they basically said you could also find it here. And Nintendo was like, no, you can't do that, blah, blah. I got really pissed. And then a bunch of content creators between TikTok and YouTube got really pissed at Nintendo, or basically like, you know what, fuck you, Nintendo. Hey, everybody, without telling you where you can find the ROMs, here's how you get your emulators on your PCs, your Steam Decks, everything. And they were ready to fight.
It apparently got Kotaku in Nintendo prison. Like they weren't getting review copies anymore, which I'm like, yeah, you know what? When you're telling, like when you are the media and you're telling folks where they can pirate brand new games in your article, it's kind of fudge.
Yeah,
It's kind
I
of
mean,
fudge.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're like, oh, you can't play Zombies Ate My Neighbors like cleanly. Here you go, guys. Like you can find it over here. An old game that's out of print, but when it's a new game that is still being printed and coming out a week later, that's fucked.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, of course, with the 3DS, with them, it's just more of a, honestly, they weren't like, they weren't in the line of sight, but there was like, there are people bringing up like, oh, well, if you're doing this with the Switch, go ahead and also you can bring you can actually import all these 3DS games onto the Switch or onto this. This is how you do it. And so they kind of got like thrown into that bunch as well, unfortunately. Yes, Nintendo's wrong because no matter what, at the end of the day, people are going to do this. I mean, look at, there is not a single console out there that has not been emulated to this day.
Yeah, but we're talking like like 3DS aside, like like you're emulating something that just came out. You're emulating
we,
something
though?
that just came out. You're basically
Game wise,
you're
I
essentially
agree.
in the movie theaters watching Dune 2 with your camera pointed at it and being like, you're live
Yeah, but
streaming
Nick-
Dune 2 from the movie theaters.
But Nick, if you own a Switch and you own that game and you pull it all legally, you should be able to do whatever you want with it because you bought the rights to be able to do that.
That's fine, but when you're Yuzu and you have a Patreon and you're making money, and I get that this was open source, yeah, that's like if it's open source, yeah, that's one thing. But your people are paying, people are paying you. You are you are being paid because you are an emulator service.
But they're not selling anything. They're saying like, hey, if you guys want to contribute, because this does take a lot of time and effort, we don't mind that if you want to donate. But no one's saying like, hey, if you want to be able to use Yuzu or Citra, you have to drop $50 on our Patreon.
Again, these are games where the game just came out. The game just came out.
Yeah, but when they can sit there and say, hey, you want to play it on the Steam Deck that runs it 10 times better than the Switch? Probably going to go ahead and play it on the Steam Deck.
Part of the experience of playing a game is playing it on the hardware that it is meant for.
Yeah, but Nintendo's always have a hard-on for going after people for taking their stuff. I mean, literally, I'm not going to do it now. In theory, I could say, you know what? I'm going to go take an original Nintendo Entertainment System, and I'm going to emulate it and play Mario. The very first Mario.
I'm just saying, as a guy who creates art and creates other things, if I had something that just came out and people were like, I can play it better over here, I don't like that. Leif, where do you stand on this IP kerfuffle?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have definitely pirated quite a bit of stuff in my day, but I support the companies for going after those people, and so yeah, I see both sides of it, I guess, essentially.
As a fellow pirate myself, as I'm I too am somewhat of a pirate. Yeah, and there are people listening to this that are probably like, oh, Nick and Leif, look at them lick those boots. I'm like, no, like I'm thinking of the artists, I'm thinking of the workers. It's not about people lining their pockets. It's about the folks that made the thing, made the art, actually getting rewarded for that instead of the lazy gamers like Josh just coming in and being like, I gotta emulate it on my
So
Steam.
hold on, but Nick, here's the deal. Show me where Yuzu is taking their IPs, their games, and selling and making money off it when we have all these other websites of people who went ahead and did all the hard work for you to upload those games and where you could go download them.
I mean,
Why aren't we going after those individuals? Why do we have to go after Yuzu, who's just like, hey, we want to have a better experience with the stuff that you guys bring us. We're telling people we're going through all the legal channels. We're telling them they have to own the property. They have to do it themselves. Like, we're giving this is how you do it legally. Why is it their fault?
So hey, they said all that in the terms and services. Did you read?
Yeah.
Did you read the full terms and services?
If you go to
Josh?
the website, they have an FAQ. They have everything lined up for you.
So let me ask you this: You're Nintendo. You're a company that likes making money. Are you going after the broke ass gamer that's downloading the game illegally who has no money?
Yes.
Are you, or no, you stop right there. I'm not done. Or are you going after the company that has a Patreon and probably has all this money coming in that is saying, "Hey, come emulate this game. Give us a little money just because out of the kindness of your heart, it has nothing to do with what we're doing. Just give us the money."
Do you want what I'm going to do, Dick? As Nintendo, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to you to say, hey, I know you guys collect all this data per your terms and conditions. I want to be able to go after the individuals who are not legally buying the game and uploading it themselves.
That sounds like a litigious nightmare. You got to hunt all those folks down. Like you're tracking all that. You know how much
they want to end piracy, but they're going after one ship when there are millions. Like, just because it's going to be my meme, so spoiler alerts for everybody. There has been tens, if not hundreds, of more open source emulators now since Yuzu is gone that have come out of the crevice of their corpse, and are now forming. So you're telling me Nintendo's going to go after all 100 of them right now?
I could argue, well, okay, if it's a numbers game, like how many people are downloading it illegally? You want them to go after the bigger number? Josh, when you're going to shut off the water somewhere, are you going to go into every house and just steal all the cups?
No, I'm going to fucking nuke the planet.
Yuzu's the planet. That's what I'm saying.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Hey, just in case you didn't catch a whim of this, Yuzu's gone. They're settling out of court, paying $2.4 million to Nintendo. They put out this statement. I'm going to read it because it's hilarious. I heard it earlier and I was like, this is a real statement. Hello, users. Y-U-Z-E-R. I hate that, by the way. Oh, here, let me zoom out so the folks watching. Oh, it's the photo's too big. Whatever. We write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu's support of Citra are being disconnected effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the projects in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our projects can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, they have led to extensive piracy. In particular, we have been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. We have come to the decision that we cannot continue to allow this to occur. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and on video game consoles should end. Effective immediately, we will be pulling our code repositories offline, discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step toward ending piracy of all creators' works. Thank you for your years of support and for understanding our decision.
Which we all know that their lawyer had to draft up, and it's to protect them. So I'm not saying that it's wrong.
Yeah, it's a settlement.
Yeah. And from Nintendo's point of view, they need to do this because they don't even want the authorized users doing it on better systems, because then they have the risk of becoming Sega.
If that's the case, quit being cheap and give a decent... I mean, don't get me wrong. This Nintendo Switch, when it first came out, was a fantastic system. But when you have developers that are coming out saying, oh, well, we're limited by this. And it's like, okay, hold that thought. You had Breath of the Wild since the beginning of time on that thing. And people bitch and moan saying this is the greatest game they've ever played. It's beautiful. And I agree. It's a great game. It's beautiful on there. But then you get like Pokemon Legends, Arceus, and they're like, oh, well, we're limited by by the software. And it's like, no, you're not. You are lazy. You cannot sit here. I'm going to get onto a rant. Needless to say, whatever. Nintendo's an asshole.
Yeah. That's why they've been around. That's why they've been around for 100 years.
That is true.
They're older than all of us combined. What you got next, Josh?
Dogs, kids, and Moogles. Oh my. So for those not aware and haven't been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, There are two things people have been clamoring to. Chadley is fucking annoying, which to an extent I can kind of agree, and that Moogles are creepy as fuck, which I kind of agree, but at the same time I'm not like that much into depth with it. Like I could care less, but more on that later. Anyway, yeah. So everybody who's been playing basically remake Rebirth, Chadley is a new character. He was made by Hojo. Basically, to put it in layman's terms, he just helps you build like off-brand materia.
What are these ads?
Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent to him. He's just a basic NPC. Why are people annoyed by
to me
him?
he's fine. I could care less. His MAI, she's annoying.
Yeah.
She is very annoying. Like every time you go up to like do
When you got an AI
stuff,
creating an AI,
yeah,
that's
literally it's AI creating an AI. That's basically it. And then Nick, you'll have to look it up. I only put the Chadley one just as a reference, but the Moogles, and I mean, I don't think they're like that creepy, but compared to what we're used to, they definitely seem a little more on like the
disheveled. They're a little more disheveled.
Yeah, I would say disheveled. Like it just seems odd.
Yeah.
They kind of have like a Is this it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so real quick, this is Hope Bellingham from Games Radar. The other one was who was that? The
Joshua
Hadley
Robertson.
is Joshua Robertson over at the Gamer. Yeah, these Moogles kind of look weird because they're kind of puffy in the original, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're puffy. They almost don't have like a
They
facial
vary
features.
somewhat.
Like there's a good example right there. I mean, it doesn't necessarily stick out, but at the same time doesn't seem too terrible. But it's like I do kind of agree. I can kind of look at it and go, yeah, Moogles do look a little different in this for some odd reason.
I think the original
Oh,
Moogles look a little more creepier, if I'm being honest.
I mean,
like they just look more realistic now. I think.
Right. Yeah. It's like, to me, it's like I'm indifferent. They just look like creatures.
Looks like a koala with wings.
Yes.
Now
With
I look at
Batwings.
Chadley, and this is the Bakura for my Yu-Gi-Oh fan. Going back to Yu-Gi-Oh, this is Bakura looking motherfucker. Like he's just there. You're like, what is your purpose? You're kind of obnoxious.
See,
now I think Chadley's going to be the main antagonist by the end of the third game.
So we'll see. I keep looking at Chadley and I keep thinking of Hope from Final Fantasy 13.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Because he was fucking annoying there and he's annoying here.
What you
Well,
got
he does
next,
give you
Josh?
the hardest boss fights in the game, so
True.
that's kind of annoying.
Oh, who is Chadley?
Yeah, the optional boss fights that he gives you are the hardest ones in the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's like a
annoying.
combat simulator. So, moving on. Hell on the Go. Hades is launching on iOS via Netflix next month.
That's a weird sentence. This is from Isaiah Colbert over at IGN. On Hades is launching on Netflix. The game.
Yeah, I saw that and I was just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a Hades TV show planned? I feel like that was something I heard about.
I thought that was rumored, yeah.
I'm scrolling down to see if there's anything. It doesn't look like, but that feels like it would be a show on Netflix. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And it would I think it'd do pretty good just based off of how Netflix has handled like video game, anime / animation type things.
Well, yeah, for the most part, they're pretty spot on with that stuff. So, like, I'm not.
I guess we're not counting The Witcher.
Well, would you consider that anime or
part of the second
Witcher was
season.
technically more of a book more than it was. I mean, prior it was more of a book. Than it was
the show's not really adapting the book or the game.
They,
I agree.
They went their own way.
They didn't work away from the source material. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When I think of the good stuff Netflix has done, video game animation wise, I think of Arcane. I think of the Cyberpunk show they did.
Castlevania.
Castlevania really well received. I don't know about the new one. They're doing a live action and an animated Gears of War, and I'm kind of excited for that animated one to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that goes.
We'll see. Yeah, go. Hey, Hades is a good game. Go play it on your phone, you fucks.
And for those who are like, well, can my phone even play it? If they can get Death Stranding to play on your phone, they can get Hades to play on your phone.
I think get a controller though. I feel like
Yeah,
if
get a
you're doing
controller.
if you're doing the press, like that's gonna, especially when you get into a
be
room that's
rough.
flooded with enemies.
Well, okay, if you don't get a controller, at least get the crap.
Backbone.
What's that? Backbone. I said I have one. I just don't remember what it's called. But if you have anything prior to the 15, if you have anything 15 and up, sorry, you're kind of screwed. I think they make it for Android, so you could probably get away with USB-C. Moving on. Frostpunk 2 release date confirmed. This was out of nowhere.
This this is an article from Mark Joseph Hill over at Game Rant. If you remember correctly, Frostpunk 2 was my 2023 most anticipated game. Here we are a year and a quarter later, and we finally have a release date. It is coming out in July 25th, 2024 to be precise. It is going to be on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S. I think it's also on Game Pass, day and date. I'm excited. Frostpunk 1 was a pleasant surprise. Really deep game with like some not weird, but some moral choices. Interesting. You know, you can bring back child labor laws.
Child labor.
Or you get rid of child labor laws and make them work the mills. You can have a fighting arena. You can become a religious cult and strike down your enemies. It's a really fun game where you're fighting the
That's
cold
on
and
Steam?
futuristic London,
Apocalypse.
I believe. It's good.
It's Xbox.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Xbox, PS5, and PC.
What's the first game on? 'Cause I haven't played it. That sounds interesting.
I think it might be. I know it's on PC. I don't know if it eventually made the jump.
I think it did.
I could get on the PC. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll check it out on Steam.
that first game, I remember I bought that and Iron Harvest at the same time, and I thought I'm gonna play both of these equally. And I played 700 hours of Iron Harvest, and I think like 10 hours of Frostpunk.
Yeah, you can play Frostpunk right now on the PS5, PS4, Xbox Cloud Gaming, Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, Mac. So basically all PC, and yeah, except for I guess it's technically not a part of the X and S, but it is since it's just Xbox. So
Josh, what else you got?
yeah, well, last thing on my docket. We have to give a final salute to Rooster Teeth as they are shutting down after 21 years.
This is from Dominic Bojnak over at Game Rant. This happened literally today, the day that we're recording. I was grabbing a coffee. When this happened, and I looked down and I said, "Oh shit, Rooster Teeth is still a thing."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had honestly to this day nothing will ever beat their Red versus Blue. That was like, honestly, in my opinion, when they were gold. The sniper has the sniper rifle.
This is another Warner Brothers offloading. Warner Brothers Discovery offloading. So, you know, add them to the pile with Wile E. Coyote, the Batgirl movie. Yeah, this is just WB cutting their losses and trying to pay down their debts. And, I like that logo, by the way.
Okay.
Hey, but I mean, our hats, we come at you with our hats in our hands, wishing the best for those affected with layoffs, and hope those folks all land on their feet. These layoff numbers are getting a little redonkulous.
Yeah, it's very, very worrisome.
Not good.
Hey, we almost got through a week without layoffs, and then it happened a day. It happened a day.
I mean, one could argue technically it's not video games, but I threw them on here because, like I said, they've dabbled in a lot of our pop culture stuff, and Red versus Blue was like their biggest. That's their thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
what made
That's
put
what
them on
they're
the
known
list
for.
me.
Yeah. That's what I know them for mostly.
Yeah, I like I think I stopped watching Red versus Blue. I think I watched like a handful. I don't think I ever watched like a proper season of it, but I would just like periodically like, oh, what's this one? Oh, what's this one? Oh, what's this one? And then just fell off. But we were talking pre-show about like how they predated YouTube, and that just kind of blew my mind.
Yep. YouTube is not that old when you think about it.
2007, right?
I mean, it feels like
Sounds
a little
about
bit,
right.
I'm sure that's right.
But yeah, hey, R.I.P. Rooster Teeth. Josh, thank you for pulling the news. That was a lot of good news, some bad news, but hey, thank you again for pulling it all.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Josh, do you have a meme for us?
Me time.
Oh, I sure do, Nicholas.
Oh, motherfucker. I see it now. And I'm just like, this motherfucker.
When Nintendo kills an emulator, but it's open source. I actually don't know is it Captain America and Winter Soldier they're referencing there?
I believe this is Winter Soldier. So yes, Steve Rogers, Captain America is Nintendo. Stop stealing our property. And then the I guess it's a Hydra agent has the Yuzu logo over his face, and it says, "Cut off one head, two more shall take its place. Hail piracy." That's a little close to because isn't Hydra like a stand-in for fascism?
Yes,
and
Yes,
Hitler?
I'm just not realizing.
Well, I mean,
this,
they
yes.
were Nazis. They were like they started off as like a off branch of the Nazi party, basically.
Josh and his references are getting a little for Josh and his references, for lack of a better word. I'm getting a little Kanye over here,
But
Josh.
I mean, there are Hydra, which you cut off one head, two more appear. Hail piracy, hail Hydra. I mean,
I watched the Hercules cartoon when I was a kid. I remember him cutting off the head and all of them spewing out. I get it. It's a good meme. I'm just saying, watch yourself, sir.
hey,
Watch yourself.
there was a line, and I thankfully didn't cross it. I just put the tippy toe there, and I was like, am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it?
This motherfucker. Josh, thank you for pulling a safe for work, I assume, meme.
I think it is.
It's okay. Leif, our special guest today. Leif is an avid The Last of Us multiplayer player. Been in the community for a while. How long have you been in the Last of Us community?
So the first Last of Us game came out in 2013. I got the game at release, played the single player, loved it, and then there's this little thing on the menu, factions, multi MP. What's this? And I dove in, and it was love at first sight. It was very slow paced third person shooter. It's very team oriented. So if you're not working with your team, you're going to get screwed pretty quick. And yeah, it's just a very strategy. It's very different than any other shooter, multiplayer shooter. Just the way it's so slow. It's just the pace of the game could be really slow at times, but in a good way.
So on the slowness of it, because I've watched a few of your clips and I was like, oh, this does seem a little more thoughtful. You were actually taking cover and like sitting back, and so this is a Naughty Dog game. Is there DNA from the Uncharted multiplayer that went into this, or does this feel like its own thing?
So the Uncharted and Last of Us engines it's the same engine.
Okay.
So it's very similar to the Uncharted 3 multiplayer, but it's added in the crafting, and that added like a whole new aspect because you craft things like Molotovs, nail bombs, smoke bombs, health kits. So it's a lot more strategy orientated.
And so
the Uncharted is a lot more running and gunning.
I've got a friend that's really into that, and like every other post on Facebook is like a clip of him playing that, and I'm just like, wow, people still play that. But I mean, it's just fascinating to see folks still playing like Uncharted 4.
I'm guessing because they're probably playing Uncharted 4, which came out after Last of Us, actually.
Which still baffles my mind that like both of these games are. Last of Us turned 10 last year, and then I guess Uncharted's getting ready to turn 10 here, or is turning 10 this year. I forget the exact timeline on that. You listed off a bunch of weapons and materials there. Any multiplayer community worth its salt has something they like to complain about being unbalanced or OP. What was is there a thing currently, or was there a big thing that was like a riff that was causing a riff in the Last of Us factions community?
Last of Us factions community brings out the salt like no other shooter. It's ridiculous. And if you want some examples, look up my video, hate mail compilation, from on Hot Capicola Gaming. But yeah, so the burst rifle, that's probably the most popular, or not most powerful weapon. But that takes a little bit of skill. Later, they had DLC weapons, including a tactical shotgun, which gets a lot of hate because it's very low skill. The burst rifle has a higher ceiling, but it's also a higher floor. So, but yeah, the tactical shotgun, you can shoot people from like halfway across the map, down them with 2 shots to the body. It's pretty easy to use.
So is Naughty? So again, this is a 10-year-old game. Is Naughty Dog still like communicating with faction players, or are they kind of like, you guys behave over here, we're gonna go do this thing over here?
No, they've completely discontinued, and actually, so when Last of Us 2 came out, originally it was supposed to have factions too, but then they said they're gonna make it its own. There's gonna be a whole standalone factions game, and they kept like saying, "Yeah, we're working on it." And about 3 months ago, they finally announced Factions 2 is canceled.
So was that something that the community was bummed out about? Because I look
Oh
at
yeah,
I look at games like, and I'm coming from the RTS side, so hey, apples to oranges. But I look at like Company of Heroes, and you jump from Company of Heroes 1 to 2 to 3, and it seems like at every track, like there's a part of the community is like, no, what 2 is awful, we're staying on 1. Or you get to 3 and folks are like, no, 2 is amazing, we're never playing 3 ever again. Was there a split on the community? Like, were there some folks that
that
were
pr-
like, oh, we never wanted that anyway because that felt like a live service game, and we like Factions the way it is now?
well, we never got it, so we never really. It probably would have happened. I mean, most of the community just wanted basically an update of the existing game. Right at this point, it's in a not great point. There's a lot of glitches, and it's just people exploiting glitches a lot. So it's not in a great spot at the moment.
So you guys did get a little bit of a split though, right? Because The Last of Us came out 2013 for the PS3, and then the first
Yes,
remaster
yes.
came out for PS4 like 2015, 2016, right?
The next year, 2014. So it came out. So a majority of the community migrated to the PS4 because it was definitely, especially for the multiplayer, it was because it went from 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second. So that was a big difference.
Fair.
So
That's fair.
on the single player, that's not as huge of a deal, but for the multiplayer, it was a huge difference.
You need every frame you can get.
Yeah. So most of the people that were serious about the game moved to the PS4 because it came out at the very end of the PS3 life cycle.
Right. So yeah, you
Uh,
didn't have much juice left in that.
and it was probably already at this point, probably 4 years ago, they shut down the PS3 servers.
RIP. So PS3 servers. I didn't 4 years ago. I wouldn't have guessed that they were still going. I would have guessed that they would have just like told everyone like, "Hey, get out of here. What are you doing?
Well,
Everyone's over on the PS4."
I think they just finally ended just about everything on the PS3 just last
Yeah.
year.
Well, at least, for Last of Us didn't take much because it's peer to peer. It's just matchmaking, so they don't really need that much power for the servers.
Was there another migration when the remaster of the remaster came out for PS5?
No, because the remake does not have the multiplayer at all.
Really?
They did not include that. Yeah.
Were
That's
fans
kinda-
upset with that?
Yes, somewhat. I mean, they would have liked to see again, like because right now the game is very glitchy and people are just exploiting glitches constantly. So they would have liked to see an update.
That
That's
is
fair.
Yeah, Sony has stopped patching it 5 years ago.
that is baffling that they did not carry that over. I don't know. I don't think Sony like reports numbers. Do you guys have like an indicator of like how many strong are you, or how many strong do you assume you guys are?
I mean, there's got to be at least a couple thousand daily players because when I go on, I still have no problem finding matches. I can get into a game within like 2 minutes.
Does the because I'm I think I can picture like the landing page for for factions. Doesn't it have like a globe or like? Maybe I'm getting
Uh,
my multiplayer screens mixed up.
it's got like it has like a little petri dish that represents your clan.
Hmm.
So like and like the blue dots are your healthy survivors, and then your red dots are like infected,
Oh,
and
I
then it
like
also
that.
has like a pic. There's like a picture of like just kind of like a general like camp scene up in the top. It's like a kind of black and white type camp scene, and then just like the player list is on the left. That's like most of the screen there.
I'm gonna assume it's Discord, but where do a lot of the faction like hardcores hang out? Is there like a dedicate, and you don't have to like if it's something buried that like if it's like an
And
Amazonian
that's
forest.
the last of those factions. Reddit is kind of the main hub, and there's a Discord that's associated with the Reddit.
And is it pretty good, or is it like is there a lot of infighting? I think back to my time being like an Iron Harvest guy, and you would hop in the Discord every other day, and folks would just be arguing about like either the balance or like the devs like leaving us to suffer whatever the
Oh yeah,
current
yeah.
meta
I
is.
mean, yeah. People argue over which gun's more OP all the time. And also there's also perks. So the perks are also very powerful. So and control like play styles. So covert training gets a lot of hate because that makes it so you can't see them on listen mode. What else gets a lot of hate? Bomb expert, which lets you it makes you immune to your own smoke bombs. So you basically just run up to someone and drop a smoke bomb at your feet, and it blows up immediately and smokes them out, and you shiv them. So that's pretty hated.
That
It's,
sounds
it's also a
dirty.
DLC. It's also a paid DLC perk too. So
Oh,
Pay to play strikes again. Nobody's immune. um, let's say so I'm a new player. Let's say I dust off my PS4. I'm actually looking at my copy of The Last of Us. Player's choice. I think I've got the player's choice or whatever it was called. Greatest hits. There it is. And let's say let's say I'm like I want to jump in, but I'm a little overwhelmed. What would you recommend to new players coming in?
I would try and set up a support class using like medic. So there's first aid training you can do, so that lets you like heal your teammates. And then there's also a crafter perk, which allows you to when you every like 2 items you create, you get a gift to give to a teammate. So that helps you support your teammates, and it also gives you parts to upgrade your weapons.
Awesome. I'm
So yeah,
gonna pass that. I'm gonna, you know what? I may actually plug it in and give that a try.
and until you actually have a team, join no parties list, because if you join the parties list without a team, you're just gonna get flattened by 4999 levels.
Guys that have been
jeez.
They've been playing the
OGs
game
as we
since
call
they
them.
came out.
Once a game gets past a certain amount of time, the support from the dev is non-existent, and a lot of the things you see around the game end up coming from the community. Is there anything like that? Are you guys having tournaments? I mean, of course, there are your popular streamers out there, popular YouTubers doing it, but anything
Yeah,
outside of that normal content bubble we come to expect in a game in its later life?
it's kind of died down at this point, but for like 4 or 5 years, there was this, like maybe 1 or 2 tournaments a year. Bobby Barks was one of the last ones that had a big. He organized several big tournaments. They got a lot of views on YouTube, and he did like both like team tournaments and also 1v1 tournaments. And then Frag Nation was like that was a competitive league play with a ladder system.
Yeah, man, I
That went
miss
pretty strong.
because again, Iron Harvest is my point of reference, but I just remember not throwing, but like being commentary for those tournaments, and like just watching like folks like come together and like celebrate the game
Hmm.
when the folks who made it aren't really paying attention. It's just it's a good feeling, good vibes. Everyone's really supportive of each other. Yeah, you get your like competitive assholes, but like that's another part that makes
Yeah.
it fun.
And
Um,
Naughty Dog actually did do an official tournament like right after the game came out. There was like $1,000 prize, I think. So that was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it a thousand? Like, was it split between the teams?
I forget what, like, the second and third place got something like, the first place got $1,000 split between the four members of the team. But I forget, and then the second, third place got some like Naughty Dog swag or something.
Here's a copy of Crash Bandicoot for the PlayStation.
Yes.
We found this in a closet. Here you go. Last question, because we've already taken up so much of your time. Is there anything that you would want folks to know about the Last of Us Factions community that, looking at you guys, looking at content on YouTube that we wouldn't be fully apparent to us just watching from the outside?
I mean, just shout out to the community as a whole. The original YouTubers, Sancho and Devlin and Swifty Dragon. I think they were like the big three at the very beginning. I kind of joined in the second wave because back then, being a YouTuber was, you had to actually buy a capture card and stuff. So not everyone could do it back then. So yeah, and I know 2 marriages that started from this community and several, relationships, and I've met people from around the country from this game, and we've met in person. So it's just the community as a whole is like almost like a second family.
I love that. That is, man, I miss just niche communities like that. I'm glad you came on and shared that with us. And I'm going to use that dirty smoke trick that you taught us about. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to go pay for it all these years later and use it.
Bomb expert.
There it is. I'm going to use that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. If there's a dirty trick, I'm going to dig it up and I'm going to use it.
Yeah. Just bust out the bomb expert and the tactical shotgun. That's the pay to win way.
It sounds like akimbo shotguns, just in Last of Us style.
So again, you could actually do a loadout with 3 shotguns if you really want to.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I play a Fortnite loadout like that, so don't tempt me, Leif. Don't tempt me. Leif, thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we appreciate learning about that. I think that's something that we don't see a lot of, something we don't really get an inside baseball look into. I think a lot of folks just see these, and I'm not using weird to be derogatory, but people see these weird little niche corners of different games and think like, oh, you know what? I don't want to go over there. Like, there are players that have been playing this the whole time that are just going to slaughter me. And I think if we all stopped and took a look at all these different groups, we would see the good that's coming out of them. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I say that as a weirdo that got into an RTS community during COVID.
There you go.
Everybody, that's the show. We've reached the end. That's right. You don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here. I'm Nick. You can find me on Twitter at That Kaufman. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Nick Fat Knight. Josh, where can the people find you?
Anywhere and everywhere at I'm Josh Saying.
I still hate that. And you know what? He doesn't say anything because he doesn't post. Leif.
Fair.
Fair. Leif, where can the people find you and stay up to date with what you're doing?
You can follow me on Twitter, Leif SS. That's LEIFSS. And you can check out my podcast, Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, or on Twitch, Hot Capicola.
Awesome. And we'll get links to all of that in the show notes so you guys can go click those and follow, subscribe, hit all the buttons that you see. They all do fancy things, and they all do different things. They're very shiny. Smashing Game Time, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all of them. You heard them at the top. Fuck the algorithm, tell a friend. Word of mouth is king. We have a fancy website called smashinggametime.com. That's where you can find links to these episodes. You can also find the written word over there. I do a weekly diary that comes out on Friday. It's actually coming out on Thursday this week because I'm flying out Friday morning and I'm not going to be doing that on the plane. So check that out on Thursday. Josh is still MIA on his diary. Maybe one day.
No hablo inglés, señor.
He has forgotten the English language. Maybe he'll write one in Spanish. Maybe he knows more words in Spanish, because I know he only knows double-digit words in English. Upcoming episodes, we've got another special guest next week. It's escaping me. I'll add this in post, or I'll just mention it somewhere else. And then the week after that, we are interviewing the developer behind Nuclear Blaze. So we can officially announce that's coming up. We're still pinpointing a time because there's a big time zone difference. So yay! It's like 7 hours, Josh. So we might be podcasting at a weird time.
That's fine. Just keep me posted.
I'm telling him this live. Hey, everybody. Oh, yeah. And thank you to Alex Marvin Clark, as always, for our intro and outro song, Hunt Him Down. There is a link to his SoundCloud down in the show notes. Go check his stuff out. It's really cool. Alex is a cool screenwriting guy I know from Twitter that also does music. So go support him any way that you can. Hey, everybody. This has been Smashing Game Time. We hope you all had a smashing great time. We'll see each and every one of you next time.